Well, I have the amazing honor tonight of welcoming into the studio my younger sister, Jennifer. So thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, happy to be here.
Oh, you guys, as you know, we're doing all of these different shows, all of these different episodes where we are interviewing different people, having them come in. And tonight, we're actually going to be interviewing each other.
Yep.
We have asked each one of our coaches to come up with a hot topic. These hot topics are things that, as Helen said a couple weeks ago, she says, these are the topics that nobody wants to talk about, but everybody wants to hear about.
Yeah.
And so why not bring these into a safe space, into a studio by people that I know you guys all trust and you guys know the history behind us and talk about a topic that for us is a super hot topic.
Very, very super and somewhat very jaw-dropping because I don't think neither one of us have really gone this deep and this raw before in a public setting. So it's a new territory we're taking here.
Absolutely. Well, here's the official title of tonight, so you guys know what we're going to be stepping into. We're going to be talking about when lust destroys love. When lust destroys love and the hidden truth behind sexual addiction and its impact on families. Kind of a mouthful, but I want to be able to give you a full picture of where it is that we are going to be going.
Yeah.
So here's where we're not going to go. Jen and I are not here to go ahead and to put our parents down in any way. For those of you who know us, you guys know that we absolutely love our dad. We absolutely love our mom. This is our journey that we have been on, and that's the platform that we are going to be speaking from. So you're not going to be hearing any hate mail that's going to be going out there. You're not going to be hearing any bashing of different people or very specific individuals. That's not what this is about. What we want to be able to step into and share with each one of you is, you know what? Right now, because we're in the coaching field, we completely realize that a majority of homes are being impacted in some way by sexual addiction. It might be from sexual abuse. It might be from some sort of pornography addiction. It might be unfaithfulness within marriage. It might be complete dysfunction of what relationships are supposed to look like. It might be sexual problems even within your marriage because of the dysfunction of you never being trained right. There could be so many different things that people could be going through.
Yeah, and like Tina said, this is us talking about our journey, what we have gone through, what we have stepped through, what we have broken through. So like she said, we love our dad. We love our mom. This is us talking about our journey. Will some of the things be about them? Well, yes, they were our parents, and so what we have gone through. But this is about Tina and I and how we have come through and what God has showed to us and revealed to us.
And we're also going to be hitting the key pivotal choice moments where we are today because of the right choices that we made. And we're also going to be sharing some of those places where we didn't choose right. And we had to learn the hard way along the way. And so that depth of vulnerability will be displayed today. So therefore, I got mine, you got yours.
Yeah, mine too.
We each have our own Kleenex box. So if we need it, we're going to use it. We're going to just be authentic with each one of you. And I had the joy of even being able to say to you as we've been planning for this.
Don't get me crying already.
That some of these things are things we've never even talked about with each other. Jen's journey was Jen's journey. She's 5 years younger than I am. My journey was my journey. And so we experienced things dramatically different as we went through. So could we go into the psychological impact part of this whole prep? Do you want to go?
No,
you want to go there?
Yeah, let's go there.
So you guys know for me, as a brain trainer, I thought, hey, this would be really great for me to survey my sister, to be able to go, okay, I know when it comes to addictions within people's lives, there's psychological impacts that end up coming or children end up going through because of whatever form of addiction that is within a parent's life. Now, for us, before I even go there are so many different addictions out there in the world.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and for many of us, can I say they're more palatable? Like, my dad was an alcoholic. Oh, I'm so sorry. My dad was a workaholic. Oh, that's too bad. My parents got involved in drugs of some sort. Oh man, I bet that was a bummer. My family were totally addicted to food. There's an obesity issue within our family. That's just like really horrible. But Jen, if you weren't my sister and I was to come to you and I was to say to you, well, for me, it wasn't all of those things. But for me, hey, my dad was a sex addict.
So there you go. Okay. How do you respond to that?
And here's where it gets even worse. Hey, you guys, our dad was a sex addict and he also was a pastor. It's like this unmentionable horror that comes on people's faces as they begin to realize that, number one, you don't talk about sex like that. And number two, you sure don't talk about that in connection together with someone who is a pastor, because we all have these programmed aspects on the inside of ourselves to say those two things should not go together. It literally does not compute in most of our brains. Can you guys all raise your hand and just go, yeah, that's like a little bit harder for us to be able to digest.
Yeah.
So why not just make that our hot topic?
There you go. That sounds like a fantastic one.
Why not just bring that out there and say, hey, you guys, this is actually super, super real.
Yeah.
2/3 of people in the world now have been sexually abused in some way. 2/3. Okay, we have some sort of sexual addiction that's happening for having that many victims that are present.
Yeah.
We have over 50% of marriages that are ending up in divorce. And sex and money and religion are your top 3 things that are divorce causers.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just go ahead and bring forth and actually talk about these subjects and allow us to be able to talk about a subject, because this is not just something you and I read about in a book.
No.
This is something we actually lived. Not because we were the addicts, we were the children of an addict.
Yeah.
And the impact that makes is generational if you don't actually look at that correctly. Okay, so back to the psychological impact.
Okay. Yeah.
Here me, your nerdy sister, is like, ooh, you want to take a quiz? You want to just go ahead and see, let's look at all of the different psychological impact that will happen on a child when there is some sort of addiction. So I'm going to bring you guys through it just like we experienced it. I grabbed the top 6 different psychological impacts that an addiction, a parent who is addicted to something, then the impact that it makes on a child. And here's how it went. Hey, Jen. You want to hear all the psychological impact that we go through?
So excited to hear this. Yes.
Doesn't this sound like something fun?
Yes.
Should we do this in our free time?
Yes, of course we should.
Okay, number 1. Here's one of the first psychological impacts for children of an addict. Isolation and withdrawal.
And Tina gave that first one. I was like, oh, that was me. That's what I did. That's what I did as a child.
And then we began to rehearse different stories and different memories of different things that we'll go into in just a second. Okay, next one. Children will then also develop, or could develop, imaginary worlds or fantasy places that they escape to.
That was me. I was the child that had all the imaginary friends and my own imaginary world. That was me.
Okay, we got to number 2, and her hand had gone up on both of them, and I went, this ought to be really interesting. Number 3. The number 3 psychological impact on children is people then step into people pleasing or perfectionism. That was mine. that was mine. I ended up stepping into that one. Okay, so number 4, rebellion, partying, and substance abuse.
Oh, that was me again.
Hey, we're 4 for 4.
Yes.
Okay, number 5, masking with humor or performance.
That was both of us.
Both of us learned how to do that one. That was pretty good. Okay, and the 6th one was caretaking. Learning how to take care of everybody else in the midst when everything else was collapsing. So we got to the end of these 6, and oh, by the way, that was me. So we got to the end of just the top 6, and we had both raised our hand for all 6 of them, and I'm like, wow, winner. Yeah.
We did it. 100%.
We accomplished all 6. So I think this would be a really great topic for us to be able to go through. So here's how we're going to arrange this introduction, this interview.
Yeah.
We're going to hit the childhood phase of life for us. We're going to hit the adolescence phase of life for us, and then we're going to hit adulthood. Each one of these was dramatically different for each one of us, and with the 5 years difference between the two of us, we were experiencing different stages of life, maybe in different sections of these different areas that we're going to be hitting.
Yeah.
Okay. We're also going to be hitting 4 different sections as we go in and through these. We're going to hit the mental impact, the emotional impact, the physical impact, and the spiritual impact that you may go through if you are walking through any of these. You might not experience all 4 of the different categories, but it's really important for you to be able to see that you were impacted. Because here's the reality that I know as a coach for the last 20 years. I know that Jen and I's story is not very rare.
Yeah.
It's not rare. And so it's something that we need to look at. All right, so from a childhood perspective, first question for you.
Okay.
You ready? Yeah. Children of addicts often learn to hide in plain sight, whether through silence, rebellion, or performance. So what is the unspoken cry behind the masks, and how can it finally be answered in safety and truth?
So my experience as a childhood is when we went back to the 6 different things was the hiding. So my childhood, I remember a large chunk of my childhood, I was making forts and I was hiding in a fort. We had a tree outside our house. It was really large, it was actually a really large bush, and it was also another place I went to hide. We had different like coffee tables or pool tables or just tables. I would make that a fort and go hide into that. One of the bedrooms I had as a child had this little bit bigger closet that I had set up all my toys in, and I would go in there and play. And at the time I didn't realize it, but now looking back as an adult, that was my way of hiding, of escaping. I knew I wasn't safe, or at least I didn't feel safe. I knew I didn't feel like I was really supposed to be hearing and maybe seeing some of the things. And so for me, it was always, I went to hide. I was even growing up, I used to say like, I don't remember that as a child. I must have blocked that out. But actually going through this, it was one of those aha moments that it wasn't so much that I blocked it out. I was constantly hiding and making myself invisible and making myself go into my small space where that's where I was comfortable. That's where I felt safe. And so that's where I would go. And so just realizing, wow, this for me, that was the way I dealt with that childhood emotion, because it was too much. I wasn't able to. And so for me, it was, let's go hide and let's go get away from it and be able to just kind of shut myself off from it. At the time, I didn't realize what I was doing. So those are kind of the things I did for emotionally. Mentally, I would say, I don't know if I fully realized what was happening mentally. Like I said, it was the fact of, I'm gonna go hide, I'm gonna go in my fort. I had imaginary friends. I had lots of imaginary friends. I do remember that Tina asked me like, what was their names? I was like, well, I don't remember that. But I do remember having lots of imaginary friends. And I've even heard people talk about, maybe it was the angels. Who knows? But it was my fantasy world. It was the way that I was able to make myself pull away and make myself feel safe. So that's good.
Well, I know that was a conversation that we discussed, that I will bring up different topics of things that I remember that were very difficult in our childhood. And so oftentimes Jen will say, she's done this throughout our whole adult life, I don't remember that. I'm like, how do you not remember that? Like, it was like serious crisis that we were going through. I don't remember that. But when it came into understanding, even for me going through and preparing this, realizing you didn't remember that because she escaped into hiding.
Yeah.
That was the method that she ended up going into. That was really, really a significant understanding for us to be able to go through. Now, for me, answering this question as a child, Some of you have heard this story before, some of you hadn't. So I'm going to share one of the impacts that made a very deep groove on the inside of my heart and life is out of all three of us girls, by personality, I would be the most like my dad. Mm-hmm. And so it was very common for me to hear in my growing up years, my early years, hey, Tina, you're just like your dad. Mm-hmm. Well, imagine with me for a second that if your dad was awesome and he had a great reputation and he was known to be a man of character and everybody adored him and, he was celebrated and great representation of manhood within the community. If you were to hear, hey, Tina, you're just like your dad, that would be something that you would really cherish to be able to hear. Mm. And in my early years, when the addictions had not become very public yet, I cherished those words when people gave them to me. Mm-hmm. But for me in childhood, at the age of 10, where I was brought into the addiction that had been there, but it then went public for us as a family, when I heard, hey, Tina, you're just like your dad, I wondered if my dad's choices was my destiny. I wondered if that was something that I was going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. Am I just like my dad? Am I? I mean, that was a question that began to go in and through. And so unconsciously, I can now see where I stepped into caretaking, making sure everybody was good. Like if everybody was good, then maybe everything would be okay. And I also stepped into a serious case of performance, of trying to make sure that everything had a place, everything had a home, every I was dotted, every T was crossed. Like I needed to be able to make sure that maybe if I do it perfectly, I won't be like him. You guys relate with that? Maybe if I can fix some things, I won't end up like him, because there are so many amazing things about Dad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an incredible man. He did everything well, even his addictions. I mean, really look at that. I mean, he did everything well, really, really well. What he put himself into, he was very successful at. So that was for me, something that hit me on the mental side of things. Is that a nice way of saying that?
Yeah, sorry, it was one of those hidden moments. I was trying not to laugh, but that really got me there. Like, even his mistakes, he did them really well.
He's so talented. I hope Dad watches this when we're done. I mean, he's so talented at everything that he has ever done, and so that's just a reality. I was honored to carry the qualities and the characteristics of him that were really good.
Yeah, and kind of going into the spiritual aspect, I was telling Tina, because I've I've hidden so much of that childhood, the spiritual aspect, I don't remember a whole lot of thinking growing up God being a big thing. And I believe a lot of that was just because a lot of it was turmoil. A lot of it was chaos. And so it's not like you can really be like, this God was in this moment, in this horrible chaos moment. So for me, it wasn't until I got to a certain age that missions from my grandparents were really placed on my heart. And that's where I really started getting a heart for God and realizing, okay, there's more to this than what I learned growing up. There's more than getting kicked out of your Christian school and saying, sorry, you can't go to our school anymore because of what your dad did. There's more to it. And so for me, it was the spiritual aspect didn't come into a little bit later, when I really was able to see God in that moment, and the God that had a heart for others. Because I don't know if I really saw that until then.
I think that's an important point for us to realize, that when you have a role model within your life, a parent for us, who also says that they represent God, when you begin to bring in the representation of who God is and realize that they're also representing addiction at the same time, it really does cause you to question which one is true. Does this make sense? Like, which one is true? Do I really want that? And that's what I hear you saying in on that. And for me, it was totally different. Like, okay, well, if I can just do God perfectly, back to that performance, back to that doing everything perfectly. That was something that I ended up creating a bent towards, of just trying to make sure that everything was put together just absolutely perfectly.
Yeah.
So that leads us into the second category of life, which would be the adolescence side. So here's the question for you, Jen. When a father's addiction becomes louder than his love, what lies does a daughter or a son begin to believe about themselves? And how do these lies shape the man or the woman that they become? That's a really great question, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think we're talking about the emotional, mental, physical, spiritual. I think the first part I want to go into would be the spiritual. Because when I was in junior high, my dad, who was a leader in our church, had an affair with my youth leader. And it was at that point in my life, and I want to make this clear that this was my choice, even though it was something that I saw in my father. It was my choice then at that point to say, I don't want this anymore. It was my choice then at that point to be like, if this is what spiritual church is, and this, I don't want anything to do with it. So it was at that point that I started to make my choices to separate myself from God and say, I don't want anything to do with this. So that was kind of where it started for me. When I got into my freshman year of high school, the choices that I made to turn away from God then got into partying, drugs, and alcohol. And I chose to completely shut myself off from God and the family. It was a way to numb myself. It was a way to also kind of be that act of rebellion, because good Christian girls didn't drink. Good Christian girls didn't do drugs. They didn't party. So it was my way of, nope, this is done. You're right, Patty, escape. And that was my new way of escaping. So as a child, I went and did my forts, and I hid in the trees, and I did the things where I separated myself. As a teenager, it was escaping through drugs and alcohol. It was a way of getting rid of what I knew I was supposed to be. And I didn't want to be that, because for me, that was a really hard thing. So it was just quite the area of years, a couple years of just going into, nope, my act of rebellion. It was really this area, also the mental act part of it was the believing that I wasn't worth it also. I now made those mistakes. I now wasn't worth it. So it was just kind of like a compile of, nope, I can't do that. I can't do that. So I'm just going to continue to pile up these things so I can be away from God. So I don't have to have that. It was interesting. My sophomore year of high school, towards the end of this school year, I was coming home from a party. I had this amazing moment with God. I was sitting on my bed, and I was sitting there thinking, how did I get home? I don't remember. Did I drive home? Did someone drive me home? It was this moment of realizing I had gotten so far down that I couldn't even remember things anymore. And it was this audible moment that I heard from God. You need to pick a road.
That's what you heard God say to you?
Yeah. He told me, you're going down the path of death. You're going down the wrong road. Is that the road you want to continue to go down? Or do you want to go down the road of life? It was in that moment that it was quite the sobering word also. That I immediately stopped doing drugs and alcohol after that night, I knew I did not want to go down the road of death. And one thing that I really want to honor my mom about is I know the reason I was able to get through those years of partying, because my mom was on her face praying for me every time I went out.
Yeah.
There were nights she would just be in my room, pray for me the whole time I was gone. There's probably many moments of things that I did and went through that the reason I'm here is because I had a praying mama that was there praying for me.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mom, for being that prayer warrior for me.
Yeah, she is, Joe. Joe wrote in the chat, your mom's an incredible woman. She is.
Yeah.
She's an intercessor for many of you. She's one of the intercessors for what it is that we do at Soul Detoxing Company. I mean, she is such an intimate part of our everyday life and what it is that we do today. And I want to echo with you. You know, here we are talking about sexual addiction. And yet what we went through as kids, I can't even imagine what our mom went through. I can't even imagine the year after year after year after year, because what we're talking about here is an addiction. It wasn't our dad just having a one-time affair. That in and of itself is extremely painful for a whole family. It wasn't our dad just being unfaithful one time. We watched him be unfaithful and unfaithful and unfaithful and unfaithful and unfaithful. It was a cycle. So for me, with the age gap between Jen and I have one very key moment where it was one of the first exposures that I was very aware within my growing up years exactly what was taking place. It was the first time that Dad left us, and he would be gone for extended periods of time. And then he would come home sometimes on weekends. He would go in and out of the house at different times. And I remember hearing a noise in my mom's bedroom. Her door was shut. She was in there by herself. Dad was gone. It was just Mom and us girls at the house. And I remember hearing a sound. I got down on my belly and I looked underneath the door like, what in the world? I could hear the sound was serious. And it wasn't for me to go in and to interrupt. I didn't knock. I didn't open the door. I just laid down on the floor and I looked underneath the doorway. And when I looked underneath the doorway, I witnessed a moment that has impacted me ever since that day. Because what I witnessed looking underneath the door was my own mom laying on the floor before God. And once I got myself down on the floor and my ear could hear what was actually being said, I heard the prayers of my mom, like literally coming from her gut. You know that prayer where it's just like this gut cry of, oh God, through all of these tears. And the words that then followed was, oh God, please do not let the girls hate you. Do not let the girls blame you for what their daddy has done. We didn't even know the fullness of the details in that moment. But I remember you guys getting up from the floor and just realizing in that moment, I don't even know all that's going on. I was just in my pre-teen years. I don't even know all that's going on, but I just heard something that went so deep into my spirit that is ageless. It went so deep onto the inside of me and it made me realize, I can now say that here, all three of us girls are walking with the Lord today, and no doubt in any of our minds is because of the prayers of our mama.
Yeah.
It's because of what it is that she stood through. So I want to speak to any man, any woman out there. If you happen to be in that situation, please pray for your children as well as yourself. Let our life be the testimony of the byproduct of we are the result of our mama's prayers and we know it.
Yeah.
Just last night, our husbands were praying over Mom as we're stepping into this amazing new year. And as they were praying over her, Jason, your husband, said to Mom, "Thank you, Sharon, for all of the years that you prayed that I now have the wife that I have. And I fully know that I have Jen as a wife because of your prayers." Yeah. Let's not underestimate the power of what it is that we do. For me, mentally, for this section of adolescence and the lies that we believe, one of the ones that I really had to combat within my own life is, can men even be trusted? When you watch a cycle of addiction that begin to happen, one of the psychological impacts that ends up coming to boys or to girls, that we begin to say, hey, can men be trusted? Or are men supposed to dominate? One of my place of pains that has turned into a powerful place of rain for me is I chose to go after that question, can men be trusted? I chose to go absolutely into a conversation together with God and to be able to say, I need to be able to see men from your perspective. I'm not seeing who a man is from the perspective of who Dad is. I need to be able to see, what does a godly man look like? And for me, I was blessed with an opportunity to go and to live with our grandparents, my mom's parents, for a couple of years before Scott and I got married. And it was the very first time, you guys, that I got to watch. This is so key. I got to watch a healthy man's eyes look to his wife. Yeah. I got to watch what a healthy touch looked like. I got to watch the response of a woman who loved her husband and knew that she was safe within his presence. In the process, the gift that Grandpa and Grandma gave to me is I realized, hey, I can honor man and I can celebrate woman, and I don't have to choose between the two. I don't have to be a man hater so that I can be a lover of women, and I don't have to be vice versa. I can honor man and I can celebrate woman, and I don't have to choose. And just because some men choose to behave not in honor, or some women choose to behave not in honor, doesn't make all of men or all of women in a category that everybody else then has to work out of. Does this make sense? I mean, this was a major turn for me where I seriously had to make that choice after watching all of the horror that we went through. Yeah. Would you add anything to that?
I think the one thing that we got good at too was hiding when things were hard. We grew up knowing that, oh, we're just gonna hide that. We're just gonna hide that sin. Not gonna let that one be shown. And so I got really good as a teenager hiding things, whether it was hiding things from my mom. The Holy Spirit always revealed those, by the way.
How was that marijuana in the door? You gotta tell that story. You guys want to hear some juicy stories?
I think I hid it like under my bed or something. And one of the times that my mom was in my room praying, the Lord led her to where I had hidden it. And so when I got home and it was out, and I was like, oh, all right. I guess I can't hide things in this house.
So let that be known for all of the children who are watching. That's true. If you have a praying parent, Holy Spirit will reveal where things are at. That's true.
But kind of where I was going with that was I got good at hiding things from people too. I was putting on this front of everything was okay. I didn't let people know of the horrible things going on at home. I didn't let people know of the chaos that was going on at home. I had a friend one time, can't remember what we were talking about, but she essentially said to me, Jen, your life is perfect. What are you talking about? Nothing bad is wrong in your life. And in my head, I didn't say this out loud because once again, I hid this kind of stuff. I was like, well, let's see. My parents are separated because of my dad's affair. My dad lives up in Alaska. There was some horrendous things happening to Tina, that Tina was going through things. And so it was just, all these things were like piled that was like making me feel horrible. But for me, it was putting on that face of everything's okay. And so it was one of those things that we learn to have those secrets. And then as an adult, learning that this is not okay. It's not okay to keep these secrets. It's not okay to hide these things.
Which then created for us, both of us have created this within our own family, is that we don't do secrets. Our kids know you don't keep secrets. We have chosen to have very open parenting with our kids. The rule in our house, I'm not sure how you guys say it in your house, but the rule in our house is our kids can ask anything that they want as long as they ask with a good attitude. They can ask anything that they want.
Yeah.
True, very hilarious recent story that ended up happening is one of our sons just asked a very blunt, open, honest question about sex. And there happened to be some other people who were in the house when that question was asked. And you know, when you all of a sudden hear that kind of question be asked, and then everybody just like kind of freezes, like, are you gonna even like go there? So our policy in our house, there is no secrets. I just very honestly answered that question, right, with everybody else being able to hear exactly what was taking place. And then that was followed up with me then asking the other people who were present to hear that answer that I gave to our son was, did you expect me to answer that publicly? Did you expect me to answer that in front of you? And the response was, no, that's not how I grew up. But I'm learning so much just by how you guys are choosing to keep those dialogue and keep those questions open. That was an intentional choice for me.
Yeah.
Because we never talked about anything. Just pretend like everything's okay. I mean, if any of you have ever been within a church circle, or if your family was in ministry in any way, I mean, there's this ministry mask that so oftentimes people put on. You ever like put on the Sunday best? Oftentimes is a mask that people wear just to pretend like everything's okay. Like, talk about a hot topic. Maybe we should talk about that. But I mean, that is a really, really big one for a lot of people. And we just chose to be able to go, we're not going to go down that pathway.
No, we have the same type of thing in our family. We don't have any secrets. One thing we have coined is surprises are okay. So if you want to surprise someone with, a present or something like that, surprises are okay. We never keep secrets though. So that's one thing that we've always said in our family. We don't keep secrets. Surprises are okay. Secrets are not okay. And same thing, we've always told our boys that they can ask us anything. If anything, I want them to come to us with those questions. I don't want them to go to their friends and someone else out there that's probably not going to be able to answer it correctly. And so we've always told the boys, if you have a question, please don't ever be embarrassed to come to us. We want to be the ones that you can trust. We want to be the ones that you can be there to ask those tough questions, and we'll give you honest answers. We're not going to sweep it under the carpet. We're not going to be like, oh, we don't talk about that. That's something we don't really talk about. No, we will always be open and honest because we want them to talk to us about it instead of going to their friends or some random person about asking it, or even going online to ask these questions too.
Yeah, and it's never something that's shame-filled.
No.
No, that honesty is always there.
Yeah.
I guess that is a benefit that came from all of the horror that we saw, is when you can begin to see that sexual sin is so oftentimes kept in secret, and then it is covered by lies, and then it's covered by more lies, and then it's covered by more stories, and then it's covered by, there is just this constant cycle of progression of how that rolls. We can shut all of that down just by choosing to come forth and to be able to have the open, honest conversations.
Yeah.
It's very real.
Yeah, very real.
All right, well, let's go into the third section. And this one is going to be the hottest section of them all for most of us. And that is, as we move into adulthood and we begin to identify our beliefs around faith and family, for many of us, the children of addicts, we have really twisted beliefs. When you've watched addictions done your whole entire life, here's the question for you, Jen. When scripture is twisted to say, submit at all costs, how does that silence a husband or a wife's voice, distort a child's faith, and misrepresent the father heart of God?
Yeah. I think that's too what we were just talking about, keeping everything a secret. That's where we have made the mistake so much, is as the past, the affairs, the sexual issues. We don't want to talk about it because it's uncomfortable. But when we keep those secrets, when we don't talk about those, they can be twisted. They can be manipulated because you're not talking about it. And so whether it's telling a wife to, nope, be quiet, that's not something you should be talking about, don't come forward about that, or a child, having a child say, no, we don't tell people that's happening, we don't talk about that. You're telling them they don't have a voice. You're shutting them down, which is exactly the opposite of what we are trying to do. Give people a voice. Tell people that they are safe to come here. We want people to be able to come to us and say, I have this issue. There's no judgment here. We don't have judgment. We've all made mistakes. So if we can have those out in the open, we can have those conversations we can walk through this with you. Mm-hmm. You're not alone in this. You're not alone in this. One thing that really kind of resonates with me is that I've had to learn, Tina talked about this a little bit about learning to trust men again. So in our adulthood, meeting Jason came into my life my husband's name is Jason. He came into my life at a very interesting place in our life. It was a point where we're going to kind of go into this. So
go ahead.
That dad had done some things again where we had to stand up and tell mom, this is not okay.
We as adult children now all stood around her.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
No. And just being able to know that there was some crazy things. And so Jason came into my life. And so for him, he was a sounding board that I had to learn to trust at the same time, though, because I had not seen what a good relationship is supposed to have, that open communication, that one that you can talk to, that one that you can lean on. You didn't have to always be strong and hold everything together, because that's how I was for so long. I had to hold everything. I had to be the strong one. I couldn't let it crumble. And so being able to have someone having someone that I could lean on, and someone I could trust and know we're doing this together. We're a partnership. My voice is just as important as Jason's voice is, my husband's voice is. It's a partnership, us walking together. It's a way for us to be able to kind of be each other's sounding board, because it is that partnership. It's a way to learn to communicate that when I'm overwhelmed and I need help, Jason, or when he's overwhelmed, Jen, I need help. We're able to have that partnership and be able to know that, okay, it's not things rushed under the rug. It's open communication. If there's an issue, it's brought out into the light. It's not hidden. So I don't know if I really fully answered that question very well, but so.
Yeah, to add to part of that story. So what happens so often is that when there is some sort of an addiction, that addiction will then lead to other addictions. Mm-hmm. That addiction will then compound into more addictions. Mm-hmm. And so by the time we were all adults, Scott and I had 2 kids by this time. It finally reached a point where we 3 girls stood around mom with either our husbands or your boyfriend at the time, mm-hmm. and just said, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Enough is enough.
Yeah.
And this is where we had to, as a family, really begin to examine some twisted spiritual beliefs. So take a deep breath with me, because I'm going to go into some of these. And for some of us, this might be like, whoa, I haven't heard somebody talk this bluntly about them, but I want to go there. Because this is the key to freedom that God needed to be able to give to every single one of us. Because for me, it was so emotional in this moment that here we had already lost our dad into all of these different addictions, but our mom had fought so hard. She'd fought so hard to try to fight for something that she was fighting for on her own. He wasn't fighting for, he was fighting against with all of his different behaviors. Does that make sense? His addictions that were just literally controlling him within his life, that here we had already lost a dad, and now in this moment we were watching our mom begin to crumble. She physically, her body just finally started to give. And so we got to sit down together as a family and say, all right, Mom, we can't tell you what to do, but we want you to know that enough is enough. You have every biblical grounds. Here's all of the different parts and pieces. This is what we know. And here's one of the things we're not going to swallow as a pill that is truth. And that is in 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 8, where it says, and above all things, have fervent love for one another, for love will cover a multitude of sins. There is a lot of us who have been given that verse and have been told to just sweep underneath the rug lifestyles that are completely outside of who God is, because many of us, not all of us, but many of us have been told by those within spiritual leadership that that's what love does. Well, I want to bring the authority that I know I carry in the mantle that God has placed upon my life and say, that is not what this word means.
Yeah.
See, the Bible always backs up itself. The Bible will always make sure that it is speaking the fullness of the truth. And when it says love covers a multitude of sins, what it's actually speaking right here to in the original language is speaking to the fact that love, cover, means love doesn't gossip and it doesn't weaponize somebody else's failures. Man, if there's one thing that we watch Mom do magnificently, is she would pray and she would not say.
Yeah.
To her own detriment. Because of this belief right here, love covers a multitude of sins. But when we go into the Word and we begin to look at the other verses in the Bible, such as Ephesians chapter 5, verse 11, it says, have no fellowship with unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose it. Did you know that verse is there? Love covers a multitude of sins, but the Bible also says expose it. Or in James chapter 5, verse 16, it says, confess your trespasses to one another, pray for one another, that you may be healed. If someone's not willing to confess, if someone's not willing to come forth, if someone's not willing to join into partnership and to get healing, it's not your job to fix them. In 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 11 also says, but now I have written to you not to keep company with anyone named a brother. Now, we're talking about those who profess to be believers here. Hear this loud and clear. I'm not talking about those who are not believers. I'm talking about those who say that they're believers, who are Christians, that we're not to keep company with anyone named a brother who is sexually immoral, covetous, an idolater, a reviler, a drunkard, an extortioner, not even to eat with such a person. Now, each person is going to go through a different journey, and I've coached thousands of different people through their journeys of life, and I've watched over and over and over again. God has beautifully led different people very specifically for their specific story. Each one of us have a fingerprint that's different. Our stories are different with each other, and so Holy Spirit will guide us and direct us. But I want to make sure that we as a community are making sure that we are hearing the wholeness of the Word of God and not allowing one verse to be given that then enables destructive, addictive patterns within our families. Now, I'm a huge contender for marriage, but I will not stand by and say you stay in abuse just because you're married. You all hear me? Okay? So this is a very, very important one. Here's the truth. Love forgives, but it also exposes when it's needed. Love brings sin into the light so healing can begin. Love protects the vulnerable, not the oppressor. Not the oppressor. We got to seek help. Here's where I want to present to every single one of you. You know what, you guys, this is what we do every single day. We have a whole company of coaches here that you might be a woman saying, this is exactly the situation that I'm walking through right now. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know how to walk through this. I don't have a community around me that's supporting me. I don't have a family that's surrounding. Reach out. Christian, put up into the chat, assist@souldetox.life. Reach out. You've got a whole group of coaches that you can connect in and together with, and we will walk you in and through the help that is needed. Do a consultation, find out how we can support you. For all the men that are out there, you might be in a situation where it's your wife or your partner that is addicted in some way. Or maybe you are the addict yourself. Reach out, assist@souldetox.life. We have a whole bench of men coaches, male coaches, who can support and walk you in and through together. It's so important that our voices are heard and that all of this secrecy stuff has just got to be done away with and something that's from the past. Do you guys hear me? Those of you live and on this amazing recording together with us, this is a really big deal.
And one thing I also want to say is, just because you forgive someone does not mean that you have to trust them. That's another thing that we have been told over and over again. Oh, you need to forgive them, so you need to let them back in. You can forgive someone, but still not trust them. I am very protective of my children. And if someone hurts them, I can forgive them, but I'm not going to let them near my children again. So there's a big difference between forgiveness and trusting. It's very important for you guys to hear that.
Absolutely, Helen. Trust must be earned back.
Yes.
And it's earned back over time.
Yes.
And it's earned back by watching a consistent lifestyle. And it's earned back with partnership with other people. So you can get some 360 feedback. And there's many eyes in different situations. It's not just someone saying, well, I've changed. I've changed. Well, blessed be God. I'm different. I had an encounter. Just let me back the same day. I don't think so. I've walked through that too many times and watching that together with people. No, trust must be earned over time. Over time.
Yes.
It's very important for us to be able to see and to understand that as well.
That's good.
Well, I want to end with the conclusion of the story. For me, that for me, my whole entire childhood, I was told I was just like my dad. It's beautiful when your dad's healthy. It's really scary when you find out that he is addicted to many different things. You guys, that was something that I had to wrestle with. It's something I had to wrestle with, and I know that I'm not the only one who has heard this. I know I'm not the only one who has been told things like that. And then you wrestle within your own identity. One of the things I had to come to a conclusion of is my dad's choices was not my identity. My dad's choices and the lifestyle that he chose to go down does not mean that that's my destiny. Just because that was a part of our family history does not mean that's a part of my destiny. There was one really special moment for me that I had, just like you heard the audible voice of God. Do you want life or do you want death, Jen? You got to choose. For me, I had one of those really special moments with God where God spoke into my heart and said, hey, Tina, you are just like your dad. And when I gave myself permission to go ahead and take that identity off of my earthly father and all of the amazing qualities that he had that I knew were on the inside of me too. I mean, hello, I'm 50% dad. You're 50% your dad. You're 50% your... As soon as I could be able to see that and turn those qualities up and go, wow, I can re-identify myself as every single one of us are just like our dad. A kind, loving, heavenly Father that wants the best for you, that has a plan for your life, who's so excited about you before you were even born. He wrote a whole book about you, every single one of your days fashioned and formed. I mean, this is the God that is absolutely passionate for us and about us.
Yeah.
For me, that was my turning point moment where I was able to go, you know what? I am just like my dad. I can love people the way God loves people. I can take everything that is awesome about dad, and I can take everything that is awesome about mom, and together we can do that. We can grab a hold of all of the positive attributes that we have been given by our parents and say, thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
And each and every one of us can be just like our dad. Juanita, he's still in his cycles. Great question. He's still in his cycles. Yeah. That's real. Yeah.
The moment you had is about you're just like your dad and turning that around. For me, it was a little bit different in a way that it wasn't people telling me that I was like my dad. It was me, myself, getting on myself for the things I had done in the past. It was me telling myself all the time, oh, you're not worthy. You look what you did. Look what the screw up. Look at all the things you've done in the past. And it was one of those things that I had to let that go and be like, no, I am just like my dad. God created me. I am fearfully, wonderfully made. Have I made mistakes? Yes. But I am forgiven. And I had to let that go and lay that down. Because if I would let the things bombard my mind all the time, it would be constant of the mistakes I've made in the past. But it doesn't matter because God has taken those. He has taken those. He has forgiven me. I have asked for forgiveness. He has forgiven me. And I am just like my dad. And it might not be someone else telling me that. And maybe it's my mind trying to tell me that. But no, it is something that I have overcome to be able to know that I can stand up to those thoughts and be like, no, I am just like my dad. Those thoughts cannot come against me.
Yeah. Well, it's our prayer that each and every one of you can see that, you know what, this might be a part of your family history too, but that doesn't mean it's your destiny. Each and every one of us can choose to make choices to do things differently. Each one of us can make different choices for our children. Each one of us can choose to be able to say, well, as for me and my house, this is the way that it's going to go. Just the way this is the way it's always been done for us, many generations.
Yeah.
That's not the way it's going to be done going forward in the future. Yeah. Yeah, very powerful. All right. Well, you guys, thank you for tuning into this hot topic. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. It was an honor to talk to you guys. I'm so thankful to be able to share this with you guys.
And once again, you guys reach out to us and just let us know how we can support you. Soul Detox and Company, this is what we do. We'll talk to you soon.